Good afternoon. Hi. Welcome to this June meeting of the presentation by a villager for the villagers. That is the ethos of what I've inherited from Cecil Craig. And I still would like some volunteers to make presentations at a future date. Thank you. Now, today's presentation will be by Shirley Nixon as advertised, and she will be talking about aspects of her career as an amateur actress and director over the past 65 years. Now, a little bit about her background. Shirley was born and bred in Pinelands. Her father and mother settled here in 1923. And she went to a school in Rondebosch, Rustenburg Girls High School. Her mother was a teacher and inspired her into acting, an English teacher. And her father unfortunately died at an early age, 46, 2 days before Shirley's 8th birthday. So that had an impact on the family, and her brother, who was at that time a fair number of years older than her, a student at UCT, had to give up his training to be a lawyer. But he became articled to an accountancy firm, and well, he was, I believe, success there. Now, Shirley's mother, as I said, was an English teacher. She brought her up in the Christian faith, even though her husband, who died at an early age, had been Jewish. And Shirley's life in Pinelands centered in the Indabeni area, where there were flays with lots of water during her childhood. So there was lots of childhood fun with the water in that area. And she is now a life member of the Pinelands Players, which was previously St. Stephen's Repertory Society, and when she first joined, and she will be explaining to us something about her interest in dancing as well as acting. Thank you.
Well, after that, I hope you can all hear me. Yes. The record that I played was a CD, and I don't know, but I'm sure you will have recognized who the words and the songs were. But I want to read this. It was on the inside cover of that CD. When Israel Bellini was born on the 11th of May, 1888, in Siberia, Russia, few would have guessed that he would eventually change the face of popular music. As Irving Berlin, he became the most famous of all American composers, living to the grand old age of 101, and being responsible for dozens of the world's best-loved song standards. Berlin's family emigrated to America from Russia in 1902, and at the age of 14 he started singing in local New York restaurants and saloons. And the Spotlight on Berlin is a collation of features, and that was played by the Hamburg Radio Dance Orchestra, because I was very involved with amateur dramatics, as you know. It's very difficult to put 65, and I'm still actually acting in shoots for overseas. It's very difficult to say all that one needs to say, and we have cut out several of the CDs, not the CDs, but the slides, to make it a little bit smaller. But there are a few things that I want to say first. My best memory of my dad, who died 2 days before my 8th birthday, was that he always kept another new fan underneath his shirts in his cupboard, because I used to dance for my dad at 6 and 7 years old. Then, moving forward, when I was still 12 or 13, a friend and I joined the Young South Africa League. Frank Lighton was the director. And we used to travel by bus to Mowbray and then bus along to Observatory to go to rehearsals. Couldn't do it these days. We did various concerts all over the peninsula, but the one that I do remember was in the Woodstock Town Hall for the boys of the British Navy, because the ship had docked in Cape Town. I was dressed up in clothes of sackcloth, etc., and had a gun on my shoulder, and I sang Annie, Get Your Gun, and that was also by Irving Berlin. Then at Rustenburg High School, I have to just tell you this because I remember what I did. I was saying the poem The Tiger by William Blake, but I wasn't quite sure of the words, so I put my hands on my ears and quietly said it to myself. And I just said it, and I said it. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. And all of a sudden, I happened to look up, and everybody in the class was looking at me, because I got louder and louder. And they were all listening to me, and I felt so embarrassed. Anyway, that was another story. Then, also at Rustenburg, the English teacher wanted to do a one-act play called Becky Sharp, which was part of Vanity Fair. I'm sure you all know that, of the Thackeray. And she came into the class and she asked people to come forward for auditions. And the first time she came in, she didn't look at me. And then she came back a second time. And I waited for my name to be called. No, she didn't call me. So I said, Miss, can I come, please? And she said, oh, all right, very nonchalantly. Anyway, I got the part of Becky Sharp. I was the lead actress, and that set me off on my acting career. Then in 1948, Madge Harding, an ex-West End actress, settled in Pinelands with her family and started the St. Stephen's Repertory Society to help pay off the bond on the new hall they built. She taught me everything that I know. Now we're going to start the slides, and somehow between me and Beverly, we want to show you a few of the things that we did. In 1950, I was in my first 3-act play. I had my 14th birthday in that play, and I was Fuffy Adams, and with Mrs. Harding's daughters. Are you having a look? Yes. I've got the gown on. And Bill Smuts, if you know Bill Smuts, he was also involved in the theatre. And another name, Peter Turing. We were all in that play together. And that was in 1950. Now I'm supposed to work this pointer thing. Oh, you want to go back? No, wait a minute. I'll get it right. Can you see that fat girl there? That's me. So, let's go on, otherwise we're going to be too long. Then in Merry England, can you all hear me without the mic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll speak.
You can turn to this way.
Oh, okay. I'm getting shorter and shorter. I've shrunk 14 centimeters in the last 6 years. What do I want? Oh, Merry England was one of the first productions that we did full-scale musical. And I want to see if Joan's in that picture. No, she isn't. So we can move on, Bev. The next picture shows Joan Lecoq. And she wasn't Joan Lecoq then. Joan and Leslie in Merry England. And there's another picture, carry on, Bev. Phyllis Thresher was the leading boy, and Joan was the leading lady in that, and that, what was 1957, I think that was. Now, I begged my mom to let me have dancing lessons, and she finally agreed when I was 10. Of course, the money was the problem. I danced in the 1952 300-year celebrations on the foreshore. Of course, I wanted to be a speech and drama teacher or a professional actress, but that was not going to happen for me. There was no money in the family. But somehow I had lessons with a chap called Bernie at the Scout Hall, and he never had enough boys. So I also learned to do the boys' parts as well. And then for some reason, I somehow got involved with Rita Mars and her husband, Mr. Phillips, who was a born teacher. And again, I danced as a boy because there weren't enough boys to go around. And Rita Mars also taught me a whole lot about the theatre. And when we asked her, what do you think is a good show? And she said to us, anything that keeps you on the edge of your seat, that's a good show. And I've never forgotten that. Now from 1950 onwards up to 1958, several plays and musicals were held, and one-act plays, also pantomimes. And if any of you know Jeff Tansley, he was the leading light with us for pantomimes. He wrote the music and the libretti. And we used to have such fun. You know, in the early days of the Rep Society, we used to do 4 shows a year. 2 musicals, a musical at mid-year, and a pantomime at the end of the year, and a straight play in April, and another straight play in September-ish. And so we were always busy. We were in everything, having a great time. I want to see if I can't always remember what I was going to say. Oh, right. Oh, we're still on Merry England. Go on, Beverly. Now, there's the first time that you see Con Errington. And I'll try and press the button and get this right. No, where?
I'm pressing the wrong button.
Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. No. Go on.
I'm going on while
Yeah.
we try and find it. There we go.
There, that's Con Errington. And there I am. And this lady was Doris Tansley. They were, okay, I'll get talking to the mic. They were looking for somebody to do a scream. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just went round the back. And I stood there. And I ran across behind the stage. And I let out a piercing yell. I won't do it now, otherwise I'll scare you all off. But I got the job because it was such a good scream. Then, I'll leave it to you, also in 1953, and that's Bull Smuts on that side. Next, you know, I think Ruth, wasn't that your mother? Wasn't your mother in that play?
Correct.
No, hang on, let me get this right. That's Ruth, also Alsop's mother. And there's Ruth Alsop, there. And there I am, and that was, can't remember his name, you know. I had a stroke 4 years ago, and I sometimes can't remember people's names, especially my children. I get the names all wrong. But I can't remember that guy's name. Now I must go back to my notes, so you need to carry this. Then we did Trial by Jury and HMS Pinafore, and there you'll see Joan as the leading lady in the middle, and there's a picture of Joan. She was a wonderful singer. She had a beautiful voice, and I was hoping that she would come to my talk, but unfortunately she passed away for a couple of months ago. So, God bless you, Joan. I know you're in a good place now. Trial by Jury and HMS Pinafore were always done together because they weren't long enough. Let's go on. Then we did Me and My Girl in 1955. And if I can get this thing right. There is Barbara, Joan's sister. And there's Robbie Gregg. And that's me next to you. That's fine. And that's Dennis Sides. No, don't move. That's Dennis Sides. Right. And there's Barbara and Joan singing in the Mikado. And I think there's the next shoot is back to, just give me the next one, Bev. By the way, that's Robbie Gregg there, and me. And I used to make all my own dancing dresses. So, Robbie said during that performance, he said to me, I know that Barbara is a bit older than I am, but she's the girl for me. And they got married sometime later. Oh, Gypsy Love, that program I have just kept in to remind me that Joseph Manker, I don't know if any of you remember Joseph Manker, he was the director of music at the Eon Group. And he often used to come and do the musical direction for us. And they were really great shows. And Nan Cunningham was the director. Oh, I had children around about that time. And in Fool's Paradise, I was 4 months pregnant with Kim, who is now 55 years old. And I had to dream up, I won't go into all the complicated goings on, but my sister and I had jewelry that we'd come by not correctly, to put it mildly. And Mickey van der Westhuizen, Mickey van der Westhuizen, who was a fantastic guy, he was the inspector that came wanting to find out what had happened to these jewels that we had hidden. And I suddenly came up with a story about having a sister called Conchita, and then he wanted to meet her. Oh, God. So I then became Conchita. And I stamped on his foot and I blew cigar smoke in his face, and I can't remember what else happened, but anyway, we came right in the end. Next slide. Oh, can you see that very pretty girl in the middle? That's Ruth Alsop. And I'm on the left, and the lady on the right was Pam Ritchie. Next slide there. Oh, there's Mickey van der Westhuizen. He was the inspector, and he was going to get to the bottom of this for what it is that we've done. Next slide. Oh, and there we are. There's a very young Ruth, and me, and Con Errington was our producer. And she was a marvelous producer. The house by the lake. I think there's another slide there.
There's another one there.
Oh yes, I had to have this in because, wait, let me get my finger on the button. You know, my hands don't work properly since I had my stroke. You see that guy in there? That's Wolf Chetwin. And he was the only play that I remember that he was in with me. And there's Ruth, and there's I am, and I can't remember the names of all the other people. Haven't we got this one about, go back to that one about that one. The guy standing on the extreme right-hand side, his name was John Stain. And it was a very dramatic play. And he was standing, leaning over a guy, and he had a gun in his hand. And he said, "Shoot and I'll move." And the whole audience burst out laughing because he made such a movie. Okay, then we can go on. We did lots of one-act plays. I was in some of them, I directed some of them. I also did the show called Brief Encounter, which was a lovely show. There was, you know, I can't remember the name of the lady in the actual film who did it, but it was super. Just go on. Oh, sorry, you can go on. Now here we come to Too Soon for Daisies. And that was the only 3-act play that I ever directed. I got my set on the opening night 10 minutes before the curtain went up. And I had 3 young children. And I decided that 3-act plays were not for me. I had sleepless nights because I couldn't get my set done. So that was Wally Sterry on the left, and the other lady on the other side was Hazel the Jager. And she was in a lot of the plays, and she did a lot of directing over a period of 20 years. We'll go on, please, Ben. The Geese Are Getting Fat. That was in 1969. You'll see Con Errington sitting on the couch, and Dennis Sides, who was also a very good actor and was in lots of plays. And in this particular play, I cut 2 pages. I had 2 lines that were very similar, and I gave the second one instead of the first one. And people had to go off and other people had to come on, and we had to drink wine and do all sorts of things. Now, I'm not very good at ad-libbing, so I just froze, and Pam Ritchie took over and managed to sort everybody out on and off and so on, and then we got back on track from where we were supposed to be. Right, go on, Bev. I'm talking rubbish. You know that I've had a stroke 4 years ago, so you must forgive me, because sometimes I can't remember what I'm saying. One of the plays that I really enjoyed, and I was the director, and it was Day of Atonement. And it was all about a Jewish family in the German war and what have you, and things that went wrong. And if you are there. Now the chappie who took the part of my husband, his name is Michael Parker. And he left us to go to live in Durbanville and he joined the Anglican Church. He became a minister. So we didn't have Michael anymore, and he was such a good actor. But anyway, now I got married again and had 2 children in 1973 and 1975. So, now we come to the Winslow boy. And Constance Errington was the mother, and she was a brilliant actress. And not particularly in that play, but she was very good at the throwaway line. I don't know if you know what that means. When you're saying something quite out of the ordinary or something funny, but throw it away. And she was so good at that. And she was directing plays, but then this one she was the mother. Okay, just show me the next. Oh, I was the reporter. And the next one, that guy on the left was my second husband, Patrick. And he built the sets, and it was the only time that we ever had a ceiling to our plays, because normally we didn't have, we only had the flaps on the sides. But it was a jolly good thing. And there's just the program. Go on from there. And we had a whole thing in the Argus about the Winslow boy. I think I've got a whole lot of brochures and what have you over there. You might find it over there. Next one. Oh, then we did Bravo Berlin in 1988. And this was We're a Couple of Swells, and I did that with Benny Smith. We're a couple of swells, we stop at the best hotels, but we prefer the country, far away from the city smells. And a couple of years later, I persuaded our black minister, Temba, to do it on the stage with me, and he said he made such a fool of himself, but he was jolly good. Then we come to the Petticoat Lane Pearlies. Now I just have to stop a minute and explain something. My hands don't work that well.